Hi, welcome to Cooking Matters Connecticut. I'm your host, Kelly Gilbert. Cooking Matters is a nutrition education program that teaches how to eat healthy on a budget. We're based out of the Community Health Network of Connecticut Foundation, and we would like to thank the Curtis C. Robinson Center for Health Equity for collaborating with us on this video series, and the Corsini Kitchen at the Wheeler Family Health and Wellness Center for letting us use this beautiful space. Welcome, you guys. We're on episode 2 of Cooking Matters Connecticut. So last week, you may remember we talked about this guy, my plate, right?
Yes.
We all recognize this symbol?
Yeah.
Okay, so today we're focusing on the fruits, vegetables, and grains portion of my plate. So we group these together because these are our plant foods. They have all these antioxidants, vitamins, minerals, phytochemicals, which is plant chemicals, and just a lot of nutrients that we can't get all of them from animal products. So, all right, so how much of our plate is the fruits and vegetables?
About half.
About half. Good. So, half our plates, this is telling us this is how we want to eat. So, a lot of us eat the whole other way, or we eat a food group that's not even on there. There's no junk group. So, we want to make half of our plate fruits and vegetables. And depending on how we eat them, the serving size is going to vary. So what my plate says is just, however you get there, try to get at least 2 cups of fruit today and 3 cups of vegetables. Right? So we can buy and eat fruit and vegetable in many different forms. So when I say the different forms of fruits and vegetables, how can we buy them?
Fresh.
Fresh, good.
Frozen.
Canned, big 3.
Dried.
Nice. The last 2 get tricky. Good.
Yeah.
So dried and one other.
It is one other. Juice.
So juice, yes. We drink it, we don't eat it. So good. So juice. All right. So to review to go over the serving sizes. So with fresh, frozen, and canned fruit, a serving size is generally about half a cup. So half a cup for those, and that's cooked, cut up, chopped, however it is.
Yeah.
Okay, when it comes to juice, so a lot of us want, a big gulp, right? No, that's way too much for us. So actually just a half cup of juice is a serving as well. Okay, and there's one class where we can play with that, so adding a lot of different waters and flavors to get that big gulp, but in a very healthy way.
Yes.
All right, when it comes to dried, so what do raisins come from? Grapes, good. So grapes, right, about 1/4 in size and circumference. So what happens with raisins and these other dried fruits? They're just taking out the water. So we still have the fiber and the sugars, but because now you shrunk all these grapes down to a little raisin, 1/4 cup is 1 serving. Because if theoretically you were to, put the water back and turn them up, you would have that half cup. Okay. And then with a whole piece of fruit, so this is the good news. Half a cup is really small actually. So, and with our vegetables too. So a lot of people are like, oh God, vegetables, how could I really eat, 5 a day? This is a half cup right here. So this broccoli, even if you're scared of broccoli, that's really not asking too much, right?
No.
Okay. And then with our fruit, medium-sized fruit is actually about 1 cup. So if we take our orange, once we peel the skin, we're at about 1 cup. This apple, this is a gala apple, so that's even bigger. So that's the good news. So when we hear, oh my God, 5 a day, it's really actually easy to get there and easy to go over it. So with the 5 forms, do you guys think that there's any one form that is the best or the healthiest?
Probably,
Fresh.
I'd say fresh in season.
Okay, fresh in season, good. So why? Why fresh?
No additives.
Okay, no additives, right? You just picked it from the tree,
Yeah.
or somebody did.
Yeah.
You bought it.
Yeah.
So you guys can take out your fresh, frozen, and canned Cando. So when you take the class, you actually get a book. You get to keep all of these at the end. So this is a chart of the pros and cons. So the full answer is there's really no best form. There's pros and cons to everything. So with the fresh in season, that's great. So it has all our vitamins, our nutrients.
Yeah.
But, think about it. On the con side, they travel, right? So we don't really have oranges here in Connecticut. Those are like Florida.
Yeah.
So even this fresh fruit, they pick it, by the time it gets to here, it can lose a little bit of vitamin content. So avocados are another one. They're barely even in the country, so they're coming from Mexico. So I know how I am after like a plane or truck ride that far. So, so they're good and bad. But when they're in season, and especially if you shop locally, that's when they're at their cheapest.
Yeah.
Any other cons to fresh fruit or vegetables?
Oh, they spoil quickly.
They spoil, right? So that's like a constant argument at my house, actually. So I do 2 separate shoppings. I'm the one in charge of the produce. And yeah, it goes, when we are such busy lives and we're on the go, it can spoil really fast. Okay? So as far as frozen goes, some of the pros of frozen is that that's not going to spoil. So, right, we have that. It lasts a really long time. When you get these bags of fruit or vegetable, they'll last about 6 months. And even if you open it, just repackage it in a freezer bag, and it'll still last that long. So a whole nother class will go all over tons of different tips on how to make this one last longer, that one. All the foods are different. Okay, so long shelf life. When they pick them too, so a lot of people think, oh, don't they add stuff or don't they go bad? They actually pick them at their peak ripeness. So as soon as it's the best tasting and at its highest, nutritional content, that's when they pick it and freeze it immediately. So it actually doesn't lose anything on its travels. Some cons though, so think of like a delicious fresh strawberry, maybe you have a big bunch, you can't eat them, so you freeze them. What happens when you take it out of the freezer? Is it going to be the same?
No. Mushy.
All right, good, mushy. So that's one of the cons. Once you freeze it, you can't get it the same. Some of them, it could have a little added sugar or salt, usually not. But so that's where we get creative, and that's where these awesome classes come from. So cooking matters. We're going to learn to cook. We're also going to learn to not cook. So, we have a lot of no-cook recipes. So say you had something like strawberries out of the freezer. What are some things you could do with that?
Make smoothies.
Smoothies, good. That's what we're going to do today.
Put them in desserts.
In desserts, yes. I like
or
that
on
better.
top of pancakes.
Oh, that's a really creative one. Yeah, so we can keep them in a smoothie. We can cook them. Good. Oh my gosh, pancakes. I didn't even think of that one. Nobody says that. That's actually a really good one. Thank you. Yes, preserves. If you know canning, somebody taught me how to do the canning to turn it into one of those toppings. Very nice. And then our last one is canned. So what are some of the good things about canned fruits and vegetables?
Cost less.
Cost less, good. So when things are out of season, that's really when we want to go. I mean, strawberries, peaches, that's a good one.
Yeah.
When they're out of season, they can be like $3.99, $4.99 a pound. So I would very rather buy a $1.20 can of peaches.
Canned is always available too.
And it's always available. Yes, that's true. Year round, right?
Yeah.
We don't run out of that.
And a long shelf life.
Long, really long.
Yeah.
That also, like if that zombie apocalypse happens, whatever it's called. Yes, I don't care what the expiration date. In 5 years, if I'm still around, I'm eating those cans. And any downside to the cans?
Some of the liquid in it might have a lot of sugar or a lot of salt in it.
Good, yes. So that's really the main one. So because that they're able to last us throughout the end of time, they have a lot of preservatives to keep them lasting. So we need that. And sodium is one of the big ones, that really fights bacteria. So some examples, we're actually going to look at some canned fruits and vegetables right now. So, all right, this is going to be some peaches. So remember, our fruits and vegetables, they naturally have sugars. So, sometimes when we read this, we're like, oh my gosh, it's so much sugar. Naturally, fructose, that's fruit sugar. So if you guys could read a label. So this would be a label on fresh peaches. So say you got it like a bulk bag of peaches. And so what we're looking for is how much sugar is in it. So when we read labels, okay, all labels go in the same order. We'll always practice that every class. So, oh my God, at the end of 6 weeks, you'll be an expert and you'll annoy everybody at the grocery store. So when it comes to our sugars, that's a type of carb. So we have in bold letters our fat, cholesterol, sodium, then carbs. Okay, under that is fiber, and then sugar. So do you want to tell us about how many grams of sugar that just fresh or frozen, it would be the same? Peaches have?
8 grams.
Okay.
This one. Yeah.
8 grams. And does it have a serving size on top?
Half a cup.
Half a cup. Okay, good. So the serving size, we said, a half a cup. Okay, great. So naturally they have about 8 grams of sugar. And here we have 2 cans. So when it comes to canned fruit, what we really want to look for is fruit that is canned in water if you can find it. So that can actually be a little more difficult to find, but water's perfect, or 100% fruit juice. Keep in mind, this is one interesting thing when you read labels. Sometimes a fruit, it's stored in fruit juice, but not its own. So it could be like peach, pineapple, pear, you know, that's something you'll see a lot. Yeah, so if you have allergies, be on the lookout for that. But the healthy part is it's just natural, you know, squeezed fruit juice. The one we really, really want to avoid would be the heavy syrup. So if you know anything about making syrup, it's sugar water. That's what syrup is. So heavy syrup, I mean, the pro is that it keeps the things really firm, and if you're making a certain type of dish, you might want that. But so much added sugar. And then the light syrup is kind of in between. I would try to stay away from that. But so as an example, we're going to go the 2 extremes. So does one of you want to read how many grams of sugar? So half a cup. Okay, cans will always say that. Is in a half a cup of, how many grams of sugar is in a half cup of peaches in its own juice? And how many is in heavy syrup? So there you guys go. So we'll work backwards. So we started with the fresh, so why don't we see how much is in?
So this is half a cup in its, in other fruit juice like pear, peach pulp and water. And the sugar's 11 grams.
Okay, so a half cup is 11 grams of sugar, and that's in its own juice. And what about the heavy syrup?
Okay, half a cup is the servings. Sugar, 23 grams.
Oh, wow.
That's huge.
That's a lot. What else do we need to know?
No, that's it.
That's a lot.
Yeah, so really big difference. And then here's where it gets even crazier. So this is a half a cup. Has anyone in this room ever polished off a can of peaches or pineapples or anything all by themselves in cocktails?
Yes.
Guilty. Definitely. We could totally do that. So an average can is 3 to 3.5 servings too.
Yes.
So if we're doing that, remember, we have to double that. And now we said 11 grams for that, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm going to eat a whole cup of that by myself, that's fine. You can have more than 1 serving at a time. But I'd have to know that's 22 grams of sugar. Now if I'm doing that one, that started at that number.
Exactly.
Right? So now we're at 46. So that, I mean, really, if you don't think it's a big deal, when you think about adding it all up like that, that's a big difference. So thank you. So that's with our fruits. And then with our vegetables, that's where the difference is usually going to come with the salt, okay? So vegetables, really they're going to be in water and sodium. And you want to look for the labels that say no salt added, okay? So this would be carrots. So we'll switch it up. So you can do the healthier ones, maybe. We'll just find out. So that's no salt added, can of carrots.
Okay, so mine is a half a cup.
Okay.
And for the sodium, 55 milligrams.
Okay, so milligrams. So that's different than grams, you guys. So sodium, we actually need about 2,300 milligrams a day. If you're a average healthy person, it can go lower than that, which we'll talk all about in a whole nother class if you join us for that. But so milligrams. So that's not too bad. No sodium added. 55 out of 2,300, right? That's not too bad.
And sugar is 4 grams.
Okay, and that's in carrots. Like who would have even expected? So
Yeah. Okay. And in this one, it's half a cup, but the sodium is 370.
Oh my gosh! So we went from double digits to triple digits. So 300. I've seen them go up to 400, 500. So yeah, and again, so if you're gonna split that can with somebody, I mean now you're at like 600 milligrams of sodium. So honestly, try to cut back. It can be hard. We have a very strong taste for salt. But if you stop eating salt or cut back, you lose your taste for it. So salty things will literally taste more salty. So you can definitely wean yourself off. All right. Any questions on any of that or anything about fruits and vegetables?
I have a question,
Yeah.
Kelly. Is organic healthier?
Good question. Yeah, so everybody asks that. So the good news is with fruits and vegetables, the vitamin and mineral content is really going to be pretty much the same. So whether it's organic or non-organic, those are the same. The difference really comes with the chemicals. So, you know, that's what people worry about. You have the chemicals to help it grow. You have the pesticides to keep the bugs away so they won't eat the crop. You have waxes, you know, so an apple looks really, really shiny and catches your eye. If you look at organic apples, you know, they'll be a little more dull. So it's healthier depending on how you care about chemicals, but not vitamin and minerals. All right. If you are concerned about the chemicals, there's a list you can look up online. There's two. So it's the Dirty Dozen, and those are the fruits and vegetables that are most affected by pesticides. Either they use more, or it's more just in them, and you can't just wash them off. Apples and strawberries are on that list. And then we have the Clean 15, and those are the ones. They include fruits and vegetables that have a thick skin that you wouldn't eat. So not all of them, but like watermelons, avocado is on there.
Oh, bananas.
Or bananas, yeah. So like, right, so you're not eating that part.
Yes.
So, you know, if you're concerned, that kind of tells you, this tells us we should be spending more of our budget on fruits and vegetables. Those lists tell you, you know, if you are concerned, maybe spend an extra $1 or $2 on the strawberries or apples or something on the Dirty Dozen.
Yeah.
And don't worry so much about the Clean 15 list.
Gotcha.
Cool. All right. Okay, so the next one you can take out, your next handout, this is one of my favorites. I love to just keep this right on the fridge. It's the Vary Your Fruits and Vegetables. So, of course, you know, you get to keep this so you can go over it more in depth at home. But basically what this is telling us, it reminds us to get all our different colors. So our different colors have different nutrients. And this is just a quick rundown. But for example, red is very good for heart health and lowers the risk of some cancers. Orange and yellow, you know, Bugs Bunny. What part of his face worked the best?
Eyes.
The eyes. So orange is good for vision and immunity. You know, if you ever see those vitamin C supplements, it's using orange box or it has a picture of an orange on it.
Yeah.
Green, that's a great substitute. A lot of calcium, iron, folate. If you can't eat dairy or you choose not to, this is where you could make up your calcium. Right? And then blue or purple, so that's my favorite.
My favorite
Once you've turned 26, you see your first wrinkle and it never goes away. So those are our anti-aging. So, and that's on the outside and the inside. So never mind the vanity. You know, that keeps us young inside. And then the bottom part, you know, I just love this. You know, a lot of us grow up with like 5, 6, 7 different fruits and vegetables, you know, that we were fed, and we kind of stick to that. This list just gives us such a good idea of how many fruits and vegetables are really out there, and to eat different parts of the plant. So we have seeds, you know, pumpkin seeds. We're using that today in our recipe, but also like corn is a seed. We have our root vegetables, which are cheaper in the winter, so that means you're eating the part that was underground, so carrots and beets. Stems like your celery and asparagus, leaves we just said, and then the fruit. And if you remember from last week, we said some things we think are vegetables are actually fruit. If you didn't believe me, there it is now, and there it's going to be on your fridge. All right. So any questions on, any other questions?
Are vegetables better if you eat them raw or cooked?
Oh, yeah, so sometimes we don't know what to do. So it's actually a mixed answer. Very good question. So it has to do with the nutrients in the food. So some are better raw. They have the most nutritional value raw. Some, the nutrition value actually is enhanced when you cook it. So for example, like tomatoes. Tomatoes are a really good one because we can eat those both ways. Vitamin C doesn't stand up to heat very well. So if you cook a tomato, you're losing some of the vitamin C, but lycopene and some of the antioxidants in there that give tomatoes their color, it's actually enhanced significantly, like 30, 40, 100% when you cook them. So, you know, I would say a little of both. Do what you like, do what tastes good. That's how we get ourselves and kids to eat something. You know, maybe I don't like this raw, but when it's cooked, oh my gosh, it's so sweet. It's called caramelization, so that means it brings out the natural sugars from the inside to the outside. So it makes that fruit or vegetable taste sweet and also covers up the bitterness. So do it all.
Yeah.
Anything else? All right, so next up on our plate are whole grains. So this, if you remember, we need 6 servings a day. 1 serving is 1 ounce. Just like, what does that even mean? Am I going to weigh everything? So in general, this is where label reading is going to come in very handy. But, you know, some of the things we're most familiar with. So cold cereal, 1 ounce in weight is usually a cup. So, you know, a decent size. 1 slice of bread is 1 ounce. So if you're eating a sandwich, how many slices are you getting? 2. What if it's a club? 3. So that's 2 to 3 servings right there. What else? Anything that we cook up. So the barley jambalaya we had on episode 1. So barley, rice, pasta, that cooks up to ½ cup. So this would be your pasta. Your faces are like, what? How am I going to get full off that? So the answer is you're not. That's probably not going to fill you up. But good news, we can have more than 1 serving at a time. So we could have a cup of pasta and then don't add another ½ cup. You know, that's when we start to getting into our cooking. So add vegetables to that. Maybe add some meat to it, a meat sauce, things like that. So, all right, so those are our general serving sizes. And we want to make at least half of our grains a whole grain, okay? So out of those 6, you know, maybe you can deal with wheat bread, but you can't stand whole wheat pasta. That's okay. Try to get there, but in the meantime, you know, balance it out. Okay? So by whole grain, what exactly do I mean? You guys have this awesome little chart right here.
This one.
Yes. So what is a whole grain? So this is the structure of a whole grain, no matter what it is. So if you go through a field, right, you can see corn on the cob, but you've never seen a branch with a slice of bread on it, right? So that's crazy. So, you know, most of them are going to be processed at least a little bit. So a whole grain has 3 parts. The outside is called the bran. So that's the hard part. And that has a lot of our fiber and a lot of the B vitamins. So whole grains is where we get our B vitamins. The biggest part, the middle, which is the starchy part of the grain, that's called the endosperm. So that has some proteins. It has all the things. It has vitamins and minerals, but not as much as the other 2 parts, okay? Not as much as the bran, and not as much as the third part, which is our germ. So the germ is actually the seed. That's where the grain is growing from. And that has a lot more of the B vitamins, some protein, and also the healthy oils. So that's where that comes from. So when we're eating a whole grain, they grind all that up. They turn it into flour to make pasta, or if it's rice, you know, they're just keeping it all on there. With a refined grain, if you've heard that word before, refined grain, okay, so what they're doing, that's our white pasta, our white bread, our white rice. They're removing the bran, they're removing the germ, they're just keeping the endosperm. So we're not getting a whole lot of great stuff anymore. You know, and there's several reasons to do that. You know, it's certainly not for our benefit, you know, more industry. So it's, you know, once you get rid of the oil, that can last on a shelf for a very long time. So that's one of the big reasons. And then also, because we've adapted to this, it's also cheaper. You know, that's the least expensive part. You add other things, you blow it up. And now we're so used to it, even when they try to be healthier, they're like, oh my God, my customers aren't eating, you know, the whole grain. So that's the other thing. It's more palatable to us. So that is the main difference. So it's, you know, I feel bad. It's, you know, white bread, white pasta, they will do what's called enriching. So if you see on a label, enriched bread, the word enriched means that everything they got rid of, not the fiber, but all the vitamins and minerals, they added back into it. So, you know, enriching works. We'd have a lot more health problems if we didn't have enriched products. I mean, but really, they did it because they took it away. Yeah.
So it's not really natural.
Right, not as natural, synthetic, yeah. So it's kind of like, I always use the example, like I trip you, and then I pick you up, and I'm like, oh, you're welcome. I'm such a good person, I helped you. I helped you because I spilled you.
Yeah.
So, if you have a great whole grains handout.
I don't think so.
No? Okay. So, and so just some other things that grains do. This is another list you guys will have in your book. So again, you got to take the class if you want all the good stuff. Yeah. But this gives you a list of all the different grains out there. So again, I keep saying bread, pasta, rice. There's so many. There's barley. There's quinoa, which I'm going to introduce you today, unless you've already had it. You know, buckwheat, oats, oatmeal. You know, hot cereal, by the way, would be, you know, a half-cup serving. And it gives you the list of all the good things they do. So it has our carbs. Don't be afraid of carbs. We've been taught to be afraid of carbs. that's what our body goes to, you know, for energy. But the overall grains have the carbohydrates, the B vitamins, all this fiber that we need, folic acid, iron, minerals we get less of, you know, magnesium, selenium. Those are ones we don't even hear that often. So that's all the good stuff that you're getting in your grains. Any questions about grains?
I have a question, Kelly.
Yeah.
How come corn is considered a vegetable and popcorn is considered a grain?
Yeah, we were talking about corn here, right? And now we just have popcorn with our grains. So that is so interesting. So it actually has to do with when it's harvested and the maturity level it was at. So when we're talking about corn, like sweet corn, that we would eat corn on the cob or that they picked off the cob and put in cans, that has liquid in it still and it's soft. So we consider it a vegetable, all right? From the way how it's matured and how many vitamins and minerals it has. Popcorn it's gone past that and it's a different breed of corn. But so popcorn, it's been wet and mushy at some point. It went past that level, it dried out, and so now it's a whole grain. So that's when, you know, the nutrition value is a little different, and we get our popcorn, so we actually pop the kernels. That's all the stuff they used to make cornbread or cornmeal. So, yeah, isn't that fascinating? The same thing can be two things. If you get really into it, it gets crazy. You learn, like, corn is also a seed, and this is also a fruit, and that's some question. Any other questions on whole grains? The other thing that I just want to talk a little bit more about with whole grains, so we listed all the things they have. Fiber is a big one. So do you guys think you even get enough fiber throughout the day?
I know I don't.
Probably not. Most of us don't. So do you know why our body even needs fiber? Or do you even want to say it out loud?
Yeah, it's good for
it keeps you regular.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, it keeps us regular. That is how we say it, very ladylike. So yes, keeps us regular. So, you know, it's not just about trips to the bathroom, it's about why we want to do that. So I know, girl's favorite subject. But so, you know, fiber does a lot in our body. And one of the biggest things it does is takes the bad out with it. So it's not a vitamin, it's not a mineral. But when we eat it, we digest it, and then it binds to other things in our body, like sugar and cholesterol. And so that's why we call it waste. You know, after you go, it's called waste. It really, those things in your body that your body doesn't want, fiber is what helps take it out. So if you don't have fiber for a few days, then you're not regular. And everything is just sitting there. And that's not good for your body. Bad things just sitting there.
Yeah.
I don't like garbage sitting in my house, let alone in my body.
Exactly.
Right? So just as far as the fiber recommendations go, so you know, so for women need about 21 to 25 grams of fiber a day. Men, a bit more, so about 30 to 38 grams a day. We can get it from all these three food groups. It doesn't come from animal products at all, so that is a plant thing. Our body can't make fiber. And if you're going to work on upping your fiber, though, don't do it tomorrow, okay? So if we're eating 5 grams or 10 grams, you don't want to get all 25 tomorrow in one day. So speaking of bathrooms, you are going to have major problems. You are going to be uncomfortable, and it might smell a little bit around you. So you always want to work up your fiber content. You know, drink more water with it, and get rid of the waste. Also, you know, just some other things it does, you know, helps with cholesterol, helps lower our chance of heart disease. So when we get these bad things out, they're not in our body to cause all these problems in our life.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Any questions on fiber or anyone else on whole grains?
Yeah, there are 2 different types, soluble and insoluble, right?
Yeah, so 2 different types. So most foods are going to have both of them. And they work a little bit together, but what it is, so insoluble means that it doesn't dissolve in water. So it doesn't dissolve in our systems. So that's more important for our digestion. So it goes through, it makes the waste bigger, so, you know, it collects more with it and goes through our system. It's like a mop, you know, it goes down. Soluble, the word soluble means dissolves in water. So that type of fiber, when we consume it, it's going to dissolve. It's going to form a gel-like substance in our digestive tract, our GI system. And so the gel is actually going through, so it actually blocks some of the absorption of sugars and fats and cholesterol that we're eating, because it's gel, it can't really get through. And then it also, that's the part that sticks to things. It's a chemical thing. It's not just like a sticker on paper. But you know, you can think of it that way. It binds to cholesterol and fats in our system to take it out of our body. So good. Yes, 2 types.
You know if your bread is whole grains.
Okay, so that's the $1 million question, right? So we're talking about it, but how do I really know I'm getting it? So that is where reading labels come in again. So labels have 2 parts. They have a nutrition facts panel, and then they have the ingredients. The ingredients is going to give you the answer. So don't be fooled with tricks, you know, something's more brown. You know, sometimes the darker the brown or the pasta, it's actually they're adding caramel color, molasses, brown sugar. Yeah, so, you know, don't judge a bread by its color. So if we want to read that and practicing, so if it's whole grain, you want to make sure that it says whole wheat, whole oat, whatever it is. That should be the first ingredient. And then if it says the word enriched, there's your cue. You know, that is not a whole grain. That means they broke it and they enriched it. So why don't we look at this type of bread, and you can tell us if this one's a whole grain. Okay. I'm hiding the pictures because I need you to tell me without looking, without seeing.
All right.
Don't just read the words on the front, by the way, either.
Okay, well, the first ingredient, whole wheat flour.
Okay, good. So, yes?
That one is whole grain.
Whole grain, good. All right. How about this one? And then we can try to guess what that is.
This is enriched wheat flour.
Enriched, so not a whole grain?
No.
Good. So that is actually our white bread. And then what about multi-grain, you guys? Is that whole grain or not? What do you think?
I would think so.
Yeah, I think so. It's just not wheat, it's other grains, right?
Right, so half right. So that is the thing. So it's not necessarily whole grain. Some are, some aren't. But the word the word multi just means many. So if I have a multi-grain bagel, multi-grain bread, that just means there's many different grains. It could be some oats, some wheat. So you really have to read your labels. And sometimes it'll say like it's whole grain corn, but enriched wheat. So let's see the first ingredient on this one. So this is a multi-grain bread.
Okay.
Multi or multi, however you say it.
Okay. So enriched wheat flour.
So the very first ingredient, enriched.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Is there any whole grains in that one?
Barley malt.
Okay.
Sunflower seeds.
Sunflower seeds.
But way down in the list.
Yeah.
Way down, okay.
Along with wheat.
Along with wheat. And then we have some whole wheat. So
the oats, the barley, and the corn.
okay, great. Perfect. So there you go. So don't assume. The sunflower seeds is funny. It looks like little whole grains on the outside. We can't show the picture, but it's actually sunflower seeds. Good. And when we do that mock grocery store tour, episode 5, we're going to practice even more with that.
What is sesame seeds? Is that a whole grain?
No, so that would actually be like a type of seed. So more of in the protein group. And sesame oil, that's a big thing you see used for it. So awesome. All right, great job, you guys. So learning. So now we are going to get onto our recipe. Okay, so we're going to make 2 recipes today. And with our fruits and veggies, I'm actually going to teach you a couple no-cook recipes. There's only one thing we have to cook. So we said before, you know, when you were saying smoothie is a great way to use up our fruit, even if we don't have to use it up, it's good to use it. So with smoothies, you know, the thing about that is it's very easy to drink a lot at once. So a good rule of thumb, so you're not taking in way too much sugar, is try not to drink much more than you would actually eat. You know, so maybe a cup and a half. You know, you kind of don't want this 20-ounce smoothie because think about it, you wouldn't eat 20 apples or things like that. So this smoothie is awesome, and this is a guideline. So your book has this whole giant section on step by step. So, right? So you don't even need like, oh, did she use mango or pineapple? You know, it tells you we can do a cup or a half cup of this, depending on how thick you want it. Yeah. So this one's really popular. And I just want it to be midsummer, and I just want to be in Hawaii. So we're going to make a tropical smoothie today. So the ingredients we have is mangoes, pineapples, a banana, some greens. So that's another thing. We all want our fruit smoothies. Balance it out with some veggies. So the green smoothie.
Spinach.
Yeah, so this is actually a mix. And here's a good budgeting tip. So we're going to be making a green fall vegetable salad. Instead of letting it go to waste or knowing we can't finish it, the same bag I'm using of lettuce. It's kale, spinach, and chard. We put a lot of it in our salad and just took a little scoop out for our smoothie. So yeah, good budgeting to reuse things, you know? So it doesn't have to be going bad. We just, hey, add another use for it. All right, so we're using greens. And then an old friend from the 80s, remember? Chia seeds. So that's going to give us some protein.
Fiber, right?
Yes, so protein and fiber, part of our group. And you can use other seeds, flax seeds, another really popular one people use. Same family, just different amounts of protein or fiber. Awesome, yes, you know why we're doing this. We have motivation. And that fiber will also help us, digest it a little slower. And then any type of milk you want. You can even do water. Some people do this with water. You can do regular milk if you can't have milk. This right here is an almond coconut milk blend. So, yes.
Are we using apples too?
No, those are actually going to be for the salad.
Oh, okay.
But we very well could, right? Look around, we could use it all.
Oh, ice, or this is frozen fruit?
So, good. So this is actually frozen. So ice would give us some water, but one less step. We're actually going to use frozen fruit. And they often recommend that. It's a good rule of thumb too. You don't want everything frozen because the blender can't handle it. Usually, even like a ninja. So we actually have, the mangoes are still pretty frozen, and I just chose to let the pineapples thaw out a little beforehand. So, right, so we're going to do our salads. So we usually want to do the frozen stuff first and then the fresh. So we can all just kind of take turns. We'll do the liquid last. So putting in the already chopped up pineapples.
Okay.
And that's like a little pro of frozen, right? It's already chopped up. Save me some time in the kitchen. Get in there, guys. Oh, we're getting you. All right, some banana.
Make it nice and sweet.
Yes, and so that's recommended in your book is like the smoothing agent. You could do yogurt, you could do banana. You don't have to have it thick and smooth.
All of this?
Right? Yeah, we're gonna do all the chias. So that right there is about 2 tablespoons. A lot of times you'll see on recipes to do an ounce, or even on my plate it says, a serving of seeds is 1 ounce. 2 tablespoons is 1 ounce.
Okay.
So there
good.
you go. And then we're gonna start with 1 cup of our coconut almond milk blend. And then we'll eyeball it from there. So remember, we can always add things, you can't take it out. So, all right, gonna come over here. I've had scary things happen with blenders in my classes.
So you always keep your hand on it?
Yeah, so keep my hand, just scared. All right, and we're just I would say that's a green smoothie.
Yeah, it's a pretty color.
All right. Yeah, that came out like really nice. That looks so nice at like a party or, oh my gosh, in warm weather. Put that out there.
Matches your sweater.
Oh, sounds good. It does. Planning.
Yes, nice and fresh.
Oh, yes. So healthy. Everything is in there. Give you a little sample first. And then you can always decide here too. So it's coming out a little bit chunky. Some people love chunky. Some people love it more smooth. So we can always add more liquid. So if you guys want to try.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay, you first.
Guinea pig.
Very good.
Good, we got it, we swallowed it.
Yeah.
Awesome. This is one of my favorites, so.
There's no bitter taste, ingredients or anything.
Perfect.
Right, that's the important part. People see it and like, it's gonna taste gross, it's gonna taste green. I don't wanna taste something gross, like. Yeah, that is so good.
Yeah.
And the right balance of everything too. So it was equal parts. We had it laid out. It was a cup of pineapple, cup of mango, cup of the greens. Like we said, 2 tablespoons of the chia.
Yeah, banana.
Yep, the banana. So remember we said 1 fruit alone is about a cup right there?
Perfect.
Good. And so this is a totally reasonable size. So we're splitting it 3 people. That's totally fine. Our body's going to love it. All right. So that's our green smoothie. And on to our fall vegetable salad. All right, you guys. So now we're making our fall vegetable salad. So we talked about seasonal produce when it's fall. These things are really cheap. We could change a couple ingredients and make it a spring vegetable salad. We could make it a summer vegetable salad. So what this one has is any type of leafy green. So I like to mix it up. This is actually a bag of salad. So these are on sale a lot. So a lot of prepared foods are more expensive, but salad constantly, 2 for $4 for the big bags.
Yeah.
And this way we have a giant variety. So we have kale, chard, and spinach. It's actually baby kale and baby spinach as well. So that's really good for starters. We know that these greens can be very bitter. If a bag says baby on it, or cooking, so cooking greens, baby spinach, that's naturally going to be less bitter than the real deal. So not the real deal, but the aged deal. Yeah, so we have the babies, and they come in bigger leaves, but what we did, what I recommend, just so all the ingredients can really blend together nicely, is I had actually taken out some handfuls and just sliced them up a little bit, just shredded it a little bit, and then we have this nice clean hands. So these nice little things. The other green we have in here is actually the beet. So have you guys ever had beets before or worked with them? Yeah, cool. Have you had fresh beets or
They stain your hands.
Yeah.
They do stain your hands. Totally thought about wearing red today.
You
You
can eat these, the leaves. I only just eat them.
You can.
Yes! Learning! These are the moments I love in class.
Yeah.
Yes! I didn't know that either. So most people just eat this, and there's a lot to know about this. So one, it has tons of minerals in it. If you ever do juicing, beets are really recommended. And then the next question I always get is, oh, well, do we have to peel it? And we don't. The skin, it's like a carrot. It's not a thick skin like an orange or something. You can eat it just like an apple skin or carrots. And all you do is just make sure you get a vegetable brush for washing, and you just scrub it off. They're kind of dirty because this is our root vegetable from under the ground. But did you know they're actually saying now that we're not eating enough dirt? You can find a lot of blog posts about that, all those microorganisms. And now we're so clean and sanitized that we're just not getting that. We're just not getting that anymore. So one, yes, we can do that. And we got most of it done, but you can just rip it and throw it on in there. Okay? And then another way to eat these is by grating. So beets are very hard, as you know. You said you had them before.
Yeah.
And especially if you're trying to introduce it to somebody in classes, this is one of the ingredients that scares people. Like, oh, don't put any in mine. I'm like, oh, I'm putting it in yours. So one way to get around that and make things more edible is to actually grate it. So the grater is not just for cheese. Grating it will make it very edible, very easy. You can actually forget it's in there.
Yeah.
It'll just, anything that you're afraid you're not going to like, you don't want in your mouth very long. Fennel, have you guys had fennel before?
Yeah.
Okay, this is another, more seasonable. You can get it pretty much year round, but it's very inexpensive in the fall. So when you're shopping for it, you might not see the word fennel. When I first started this job, I was like, oh no, what is fennel? It's not at the store. And it's like my third class ever. So it's actually called anise, which is that, that black licorice flavor. Yeah, so if you don't see fennel, look for anise. And then we're going to eat the bowl. We're just going to actually use a little bit of this. So we're going to break this off and just cut little slices. And then as far as the top goes, you can't eat that. But if you're big into making soups, it's really great to put in your soup stock.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so if either one of you wants to wrap that up and take it home with you, for sure. And for some other ingredients, so to get some of our protein into the salad, any kind of nut or seed will do. What says fall? Other than pumpkin, right? Other than pumpkin. So we got some pumpkin seeds. You may also see it saying pumpkin kernels at the store. An optional additive, so I'll leave it on the side if you want it in yours, but we have goat cheese. Feta is another one that goes really nicely with this. I grated one of the beets, so it's going to look like that. Very easy to eat. And then for our whole grain, we're going to use quinoa. All right? So quinoa is actually a seed. It would grow into a plant. So it's one of those can kind of cross the borders, but we consider it generally a whole grain. But as far as whole grains go, this is actually one of the few that has 8 essential proteins that our bodies can't make. So class 3 is where we talk about protein and dairy, more of our animals, so we'll go way more in depth in that. But for now, just know that, there's 20 different amino acids, there's 8 or 9 that our body can't make, and quinoa has 8 of them. So a great meat substitute. And just so you can see, so some people say it might get a little expensive. Pasta and rice might be a little less. You can generally find it for as low as maybe $2.99 for store brand. I've seen it as high as $6.99 for, you know, I don't know why. I don't know if they swam over with it. Like, I don't know what that cost is going to.
Yeah.
But even if it's a few bucks more, very cost effective. So this starts off as a little seed, and it comes in different colors: white, red, black, brown. I just prefer the multicolor ones in one bag because it looks nicer. But as you can see, it triples in size. So, you know.
So this is that much.
Yeah,
Wow.
yes, exactly. And so like 1 cup turns into 2.5 cups. You'll know it's done. For cooking, it's really simple. You put it in a pan with water. So if you're doing 1 cup of quinoa, you do 2 cups of water.
Okay.
You bring it to a boil. As soon as it starts boiling, you turn it down to a simmer. It's one of the ones that benefits from slower cooking. And you basically ignore it. I love cooking that you can ignore. So you ignore it. You want to stir it once, go ahead. But just like rice, you wait till it absorbs the water. That's when it's done. And the white ones are really cool. They'll actually form a little white spiral around the grain when they're done. So it's another hint. Okay. For the dressing, what we're going to do, instead of those big fattening ones, you know, you can buy, making your own dressing is great. So we have extra virgin olive oil, apple cider vinegar. Red wine vinegar is great too. There's a whole page in your book on dressings. This one's fun. We're going to add a tablespoon of Dijon mustard. Little salt and pepper. We're just going to whisk it up. Have a lemon. So you can just do to your taste. So we're just going to squeeze the tiniest bit of lemon and taste it. Okay, and then pour it in. So any questions on that? No? All right, so when you can dice the apple, you'll need to do the beet. All right, you're going to cut the stem, that part off, and just go crazy. If you want to cut the whole stem off while you grate, you can. Okay. And then if you lay it down flat, good. When she's doing it, we've got the claw. We're learning. She's not going to chop off her fingertips. All right. And so with our fennel, like I said, we're just going to need a little bit. And these are actually really good for roasting. So it actually has a very kind of strong flavor, you know, of that black licorice. So you really only need a little bit in your salad. And then you can use the rest for roasting or another recipe. Okay, some people can compare it to celery. It starts to look like celery. Okay. And with cutting, you know, here's a nice safety tip for yourself too. With cutting, you don't just want to push down on things. You want to do like a sauce. So you want to put the tip away from you, obviously, and kind of downwards, and kind of do it like a saw. Right? So I've seen more in the kids' classes. So we do all kinds of classes. We do classes for teens, classes for kids, and the kids are always like, like they're on a mission. I'm like, no, please stop doing that. So, all right. Ooh, I can even do fun shapes. I made SpongeBob. So there you go. So just little bits of fennel. Do you guys want to try a piece of fennel on its own?
Sure, why not?
Oh, yeah.
Not bad.
Cool.
Yep, crunchy like celery.
Yeah, like celery. Exactly. So there's that comparison. All right. Right. So we have all our leaves. I'm gonna do a cup of apples. One tip too, if you ever cut apples ahead or you couldn't use a whole apple, if you soak it in lemon juice overnight, that'll keep it from oxidizing and turning brown. Going to add our protein now, our pumpkin seeds. I'm just having thoughts of them like roasting at the house. Carving a little pumpkin, that's horrible. And somebody's saying, oh, that's beautiful, Kelly. So now our quinoa goes in there. Swab. So, and again, you can use other whole grains as well. You can use barley, anything that you cook up. You could do rice. You got leftover rice.
It's so colorful too.
Yes, I love that you point that out. I love this. The more color you see, so we're already doing what the handout said, varying our veggies. So we have green, we have red, we have white, and white's like not even that common of one, you know, there's only so many whites. Good, the beet is red, but it's kind of like purpley red. And then with our dressing, it looks so cool, so when it separates. So you're just gonna whisk that up.
So is it a couple of tablespoons of each?
Oh, excellent question. So it's actually a quarter cup. So a quarter cup for like a whole salad, but you can even do a mini one. So simple measurings. There's actually a measurement guide in your book as well. So you know, I'll show you right after. So you know, 4 tablespoons actually equals a quarter cup. So if you were making a smaller version of this, just 2 tablespoons, which would be neat. Alright, drizzle it all in there. I just love this, you know, there's no big giant label on this. It's not, there's no this for color and this for preservatives and this acid and all these things, you know, it's just, it's what it is, yeah, we just know what it is. Mustard has very few ingredients, you know. Yeah. Vinegar, you know, a lot of people are trying to get more vinegar in their diets these days, that acetic acid.
Yes.
You know, there's some studies that show it has, you know, some cleansing properties and
melts the fat.
yeah, melts the fat.
It really works.
Yes, and it's actually
good.
Yeah, and it's really good for heartburn. Counterintuitive as that sounds. So, especially if you get like the raw apple cider vinegar. So it starts as an acid, but in our body, it goes more basic. So it's a natural remedy I use all the time actually when I get heartburn. Which is not all the time though because I eat really healthy. So, alright, and that is it. That is our beautiful fall vegetable salad.
That's good name.
Okay, and then cheese, you know, it's one of those optional ingredients. This is goat cheese. I love it. It's something different. It's more tangy.
Yeah.
So I'm going to sprinkle that in. We've all agreed that we want it, right?
Yeah.
We love it. No lactose problems. Okay, so as much or as little as you'd like. I would like it all. And look at one more color, so it looks really, really nice.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so we have all of our food groups, guys. We got vegetables, fruit, our dairy with the cheese, our protein with the seeds and the whole grain. Quinoa, yeah.
Great.
All right. Oh my gosh, yes. And the thing about this salad too, you know, you'll find it in the sides section of your Cooking Matters book.
Yeah.
But really, I mean, this is like an entree salad, really. This, I eat it all the time just on its own. I don't even need a side dish. So with all the filling ingredients.
Here it goes. Very good.
Nice and crunchy, yeah.
Nice and crunchy, right?
Yeah, delicious.
If you enjoyed this program today, you can participate as well. Cooking Matters classes will help you learn how to shop and cook healthy on a budget, explore new recipes, and overall have fun, meet new people, and gain new skills. If you're in the Hartford area and would like to participate in a Cooking Matters class, please call 860-714-5770 or email healthequity@stfranciscare.org. For Cooking Matters class information across the state, to participate or become a volunteer, please contact 203-303-3908. Thank you.